Hi, this is Ryan Morris from eXp Realty. As a real estate professional in the city of Austin, it's imperative that I keep my finger on the pulse of all things local. I hear the word city bond program bandied about all the time, and I realized that I had some questions about how the bond program works, what the bonds would do if chosen by a majority of voters, and how they might impact local residents fiscally.
Sorry,
I had the opportunity to get some of these questions answered when I attended a bond program open house in South Austin at the Manchac branch of the Austin Public Library. I hope you find this as edifying as I did.
Thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Carla Steffen. I'm here with Katie Zemesnik, and we represent the City Bond Development team from the staff side of things. I do want to recognize real quick King Craig from Councilmember Kitchen's office. Thank him for being here. Certainly, if you have any questions for the council member, he'll be around and willing to take those questions. But we'll get started. It's about a 10-minute presentation. There'll be time for questions at the end, and then after you hear from us, if you want to revisit some of the stations, you can certainly do follow-up questions with our subject matter experts. I will start off by saying, as city staff, we are not here to advocate for or against these bond propositions. We are here to simply inform you. Hopefully you picked up a bond brochure. Looks like many of you have. Those are available online as well at austintexas.gov/2018 bond. There's a lot of information on that website. There are also one-page documents that kind of give a higher level summary of the bonds. Those are available in 6 different languages. So feel free to look at those as well. And we'll end the presentation with some resource information, but just wanted to give our website a plug right off the bat. So let's dive in. On August 9th, Council did pass an ordinance approving a $925 million bond election and set the ballot language for 7 different propositions. This is not an all or nothing bond election, so when you go to the polls, either during early voting or on November 6th, you will cast 7 different votes on the bond propositions. Those propositions are Proposition A for affordable housing, Proposition B, libraries, museums, and cultural facilities, Proposition C is parks and recreation, D is flood mitigation, open space, and water quality, E is health and human services, F is public safety, and G is transportation infrastructure. And in just a couple of slides, Katie's actually going to walk you through all of these propositions in a little bit more detail. But before she does, let's see how we got to this point. It certainly was through a lot of hard work and effort from a bond election advisory task force that was appointed by Mayor and Council, and a lot of community input, as well as a lot of hours spent by city staff pulling information together and providing information for that task force. Over about 18 months, that task force met as both a full task force and working group 79 times. They heard from hundreds of Austinites as well as city staff over that time period. And in April of 2018, they brought forward an $851 million bond recommendation to Council. Council then deliberated, and as I mentioned in August, finally settled on the $925 million bond election that is being put forth to the voters. With that, I will turn it over to Katie. She's going to walk through the 7 propositions, and then I'll be back with a little more information at the end.
So Proposition A is affordable housing. The total amount of this proposition is $250 million, and if it were to be approved, it would go toward the creation, retention, and rehabilitation of affordable home and rental opportunities in the city. It's broken down into 4 different buckets: land acquisition, rental housing development assistance projects, acquisition and development home ownership program, and our home repair program. Proposition B is libraries, museums, and cultural art facilities. This proposition is $128 million, and if it were to be approved, it would go toward renovations at our existing branch libraries and cultural centers, including creative spaces. There's also funding in this proposition for the complete replacement of the Dougherty Arts Center. Proposition C is Parks and Rec. This is a $149 million proposition, and if it were to be approved, it would go toward the rehabilitation and upgrades of our existing park assets, including pools, playscapes, trails, and park buildings. There's also funding in this proposition for the acquisition of parkland in park-deficient areas around the city. Proposition D is flood mitigation, open space, and water quality protection. This proposition consists of $184 million split between 2 different buckets of funding. We've got the acquisition of water quality protection lands throughout the city, and then flood mitigation projects all throughout the city as well. Proposition E is Health and Human Services. This proposition totals $16 million, and if this were to be approved, it would go toward the design, construction, and equipping of a new neighborhood health and human services center down in the Dove Springs area. If it were to be approved, it would include a full WIC clinic, immunization clinic, and a full neighborhood services center as well. Proposition F is public safety. This proposition is $38 million, and if it were to be approved, it would go toward renovations at our existing fire and EMS stations around the city. And last but not least, Proposition G is transportation infrastructure. The total amount of this bond proposition is $160 million. And if it were to be approved, it would go toward addressing deficiencies in our existing transportation network. This includes things such as sidewalk rehabilitation, street reconstruction, signal upgrades, pedestrian safety improvements, and major intersection safety projects. And one of the questions that we sort of get as we have been developing this entire bond package for the last 2 years is how this proposition compares to the mobility bond, which voters passed in November of 2016. And the answer to that question is that the mobility bond was intended for capacity enhancement, so essentially creating new capacity, whereas this proposition is focused on reinvesting in our existing transportation network. So there is no intent for overlap between the two, but certainly as city staff, if this bond proposition were approved and as city staff were deploying the dollars, they would look where it would make sense to combine the two. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Carla.
So now that we've walked through the 7 propositions, you might be wondering how this impacts you as a taxpayer. This chart shows various taxable property values along with the anticipated annual and monthly tax bill impact. Based on our current estimates, if all 7 propositions were to pass and over the life of the bond cycle we were to issue $925 million worth of bonds, we are estimating that your tax rate increase would increase by 2 cents per $100 valuation. There is a tax calculator online, again at that fabulous website, austintexas.gov/2018bond. You can actually go to that website and put in your own taxable property value that you can find on Travis County Appraisal District's website, and it will calculate what that impact to you would actually be. It is important to note that we will not issue, if all 7 propositions were to pass, we are not going to issue $925 million worth of bonds all at once. This is probably a 6-year bond cycle. The city issues debt once a year, and we would issue debt as we need it, as these programs and projects move forward. So you are not going to see this the tax bill impact all at once, but incrementally over that bond cycle. There's some key dates and voter information for you. Today is the first day of early voting, so you have between now and November 2nd. If you want to early vote, you can make your way to the polls during that time. If you're wanting to cast your ballot via mail, you do need to request that mail-in ballot by October 26th. And again, election date is November 6th. You can find more information at austintexas.gov/vote. Just in case you're not aware, when you do make it to the polls, you might want to plan for a little extra time. These 7 propositions are not the only thing that's going to be on the ballot. It is a rather long ballot. You're going to be casting votes in federal, state, and county elections, as well as city mayoral and council district elections. You'll then see the 7 bond propositions, followed by 4 more propositions. There are 2 city charter propositions, as well as 2 citizen-led city ordinance propositions. So just plan on spending a minute or 2 at the ballot box when you find your way there. We are down to the wire in terms of bond open houses. We have been holding these bond open houses all across the city, and this is our second to last actually. We have 1 more scheduled this week in District 3. However, if you know of people who are wanting a presentation, there is on our website a presentation request form. So if you've got an organization, a neighborhood organization, or other civic organization that you think would be interested in this presentation, you can actually request that presentation online. If you simply want additional materials to hand out to neighbors or interested parties, you can actually request bond brochures and 1-page documents on that website as well. Again, that website is austintexas.gov/2018bond. If you're looking for general bond election information, you can actually actually call 311. We have equipped the city's 311 operators with some general information about this bond election. If you were to call 311 and you have questions they can't answer, they will absolutely get you to someone on the bond development team. If you have a question and you want to email us directly, 2018bond@austintexas.gov, and we will respond to those questions as well. We certainly, as city staff, just want to make sure that there are informed voters. So any question you have, we will certainly answer.
Hi there, this is Ryan Morris with Community Connection, EXP Realty. It's my pleasure to be here at this open house at the Manchac or Manchaca Library, whichever side you're on that debate. We're not going to get into this, but I'm here with Katie Samesnik, and she is representing here the 2018 City Bond Program. We're going to talk a little bit about this because this is something that honestly didn't know that much about, and I know a lot of people are kind of wondering, what is this bond thing, what are we voting for? And early elections started today. So Katie, what is your position with the city?
Sure. So I'm currently on special assignment as the bond development coordinator with the Office of the CFO and the Financial Services Department at the City of Austin, and I've been working on creating this bond program with my counterpart Carla Steffen for about 2 years now.
So Katie, what is it that you would like the Austin voters to know about the bond program?
Sure. So we have a $925 million bond package that's going before the voters on November 6th. There are 7 different propositions kind of covering a wide range of things, from parks and recreation to stormwater and drainage to public safety and affordable housing. There are 7 different propositions in total. You will be able to vote up and down on every single one of them. And we have a great website out there. It's austintexas.gov/2018bond, where you can get a lot more information. We have bond brochures at all of the local libraries, and you can call 311 for some more information.
Oh, great! So you get 311. Now
Yeah.
they can pick up the phone
Absolutely.
and talk to somebody.
Absolutely.
Isn't that rare? So, and that's great. So, and this is an opportunity for people to kind of a direct democracy situation, right? Because the vote, it's like whatever the people vote for is what happens.
That's
It's not
correct.
like the council's going to be able to decide something else. The mayor's not going to be able to decide
Correct.
something else. It's
Yep.
like, this is your opportunity, Austin. Go to the polls and vote because you can. So that's awesome. Anyway, it's been a pleasure talking
My
with you.
pleasure
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
well.
Thank you so much
Of
for
course.
spending your time with me. And I'll see you next time on Community Connection.